Hi and welcome to my channel. In this video we'll look at anti-spoofing. So spoofing is a method used by attackers to gain unauthorized access by falsifying the IP address of a packet, making it appear as if it originates from a trusted or privileged part of the network. The security gateway has a robust anti-spoofing feature that prevents such attacks by ensuring that the interface through which a packet enters matches its IP address. So if we look here, so we can see that an attacker will falsify IP address to get an unauthorized access, but our anti-spoofing will check and verify the interface and the IP address. And it will use the interface topology and the source IP verification. So if we go to our lab here, we go to our cluster and go to interfaces. So if we take, for example, our external interface and click modify here, so we can see that anti-spoofing here in this case is enabled. And anti-spoofing action is to set to prevent, and prevent means in this case the same as drop. We can change that to detect. Detect will detect any try to spoof, but it will not prevent. But you get a log that says detect. So you have two options here, prevent and detect. If you are using, for example, remote VPN and you are using office mode, so you have assigned these users a subnet of a private IP addresses. These IP addresses should be able to get to your gateway, and in that case you need to use this option here. So don't check packets from, and you choose the subnet that you have given to the users. So for example, if we add a int net, this network will not be checked against the anti-spoofing. And here we can see the spoof tracking, so we can log none or send an alert. So anti-spoofing is a security setting that impacts the security policy when configured. It verifies that the source IP address of a packet matches the topology of the interface where the packet was received. This means that any packet claiming to come from the internal network must actually arrive via the internal network interface. For example, if a packet from an external source falsely uses an internal IP address, anti-spoofing will block it. Additionally, it ensures that once a packet is routed, it exists through the appropriate interface. So here, if we look again to our PDF, so we can see that it will check. So here, the incoming packet, it will check the source of the IP and match the interface to topology. So if it matches, it's okay to route the packet. If it's not, it will block it. Configuring the anti-spoofing. Anti-spoofing is essential to accurately define the networks that can be reached from each interface. So it's very important to define all internal network before setting up or retrieving that topology for a security gateway. So ensure all static routes, including the default route, are configured for optimal protection. Anti-spoofing drops packets with a source IP address that does not belong to the network behind the packet's interface. So again, for example, packets with an internal IP address that comes from an external interface. So anti-spoofing should be enabled on all gateway interfaces. That's very important. If it is applied to a specific interface, it's important to also set up spoof tracking. And as we said, tracking is prevent or detect. So we need to have spoof tracking for that interface to assist with intrusion detection and troubleshooting. So to enable anti-spoofing, configure the properties of the firewall's interface. You can manage the anti-spoofing settings in the topology tab of the interface properties window, as we checked in our lab. So here we can configure that. And back to our PDF here, we can see that to enable anti-spoofing, configure these. So we have two choices here. Enable it protects against IP spoofing attacks. Disabling it may expose the network to spoofing attacks. So it's very important to have it enabled. So now, how to test the anti-spoofing? So I have this lab here. We can check one interface and test it. So here we can see if the anti-spoofing is enabled on that interface. So for example, this interface here, I think it is disabled here. Okay, it is disabled, anti-spoofing disabled. So we can test spoof any IP address. So I have tested here. This one will work. So we are sending this IP address through this interface, and we will see the result. The logs. So we do this and we go to the logs and see the result here. Okay, all traffic is enabled. So this is very dangerous. So because here, so if this in reality, if this IP was used by any server or any device behind the firewall, it could go through the firewall and talk to, for example, because now we are using the interface on the gateway, but we could use any server IP here, and the gateway will not prevent that because the anti-spoofing is not active. So now let's activate or enable the anti-spoofing. So here again, we need only to install the policy, but it's worth testing. Modify and perform anti-spoofing, prevent and log. Okay, okay, and okay here. So now we install the policy, publish and install. So we installed the policy. So as we can see here, our policy is done installing. So now we can run that command again to see our logs. So if we update here, so now we can see the difference that with enabled anti-spoofing we drop all this traffic, and with we can go back a little bit in time. So here with disabled anti-spoofing we can see that all this traffic was enabled or accepted, but with anti-spoofing, if we can open one log here and see it says an address spoofing. So it is very important to have anti-spoofing activated. So this video is done here. So thank you for watching and see you in the next video.